Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today we're going to be looking at the differences between the original Panasonic S5, which we have here. It's a great 24 megapixel full frame camera, mirrorless camera. That's the original S5, and we're going to be looking at the differences between that and the new, fairly new Panasonic S5 Mark II. Very little differences on the outside, to be honest, and it's easy to get confused between the two cameras. They both look very similar. They're both pretty much the same weight, same body design. The two fundamental differences as far as the outside is concerned of the S5 Mark II is that it's got the S5 Mark II logo on the front. The S5 Mark II has a fan built into the actual pentaprism of the camera. You might not be able to see that, but just under this PASM dial there is a fan there. So that enables it to have no video record limit in any of the modes, all the 10-bit modes as well, no video record limit, and that is great. The fan is adjustable, so you can go into the menu and adjust the speed of the fan and the power of the fan, and I have noticed that it's virtually noiseless. It's fantastic. I've not heard any noise, so even if you have got a microphone mounted on the camera, it's not going to pick up the noise of a fan. So let's get into the key differences now between the original S5 and the S5 Mark II. The S5 Mark II has a 3.6 million dot viewfinder compared to a 2.3 million dot viewfinder of the original S5. I actually do find it sharper. I do find it's brighter as well. I really like the viewfinder in the S5 Mark II. Although, to be fair, if you're taking photographs, the original S5 is great anyway. But this has just got a much bigger and it's a brighter view. It's not actually much bigger, but it is a brighter viewfinder. And the magnification is a bit more on the S5 Mark II. It's 0.78 magnification. On the S5, it's 0.75. So a little bit bigger magnification when you're actually looking through the viewfinder. Great for eye relief. I find the viewfinder on both cameras great, but there is a distinct difference. You can see the difference between the S5 and the S5 Mark II, particularly for video. If you're checking focus, it's easier to check the focus and the accuracy of the focus with the S5 Mark II than it is with the original S5. The S5 Mark II has more focus points. Also, which is fantastic, it's got phase detect autofocus points on the sensor of the S5 Mark II. The S5 relied on depth from defocus or contrast detect autofocus. So the S5 Mark II is certainly better as far as autofocusing is concerned. I've done some video tests, and yeah, the S5 Mark II is definitely a better autofocusing camera. It has 779 autofocus points. The S5 has 225 autofocus points, so substantially more on the S5 Mark II, but crucially it's got phase detect autofocus as opposed to contrast detect autofocus. The burst rate on the S5 Mark II is better. You can go up to 30 frames per second in electronic shutter on the S5 Mark II. You can't do that on the original S5. The S5 Mark II has more video codecs from what the S5 does. Most of them are 10-bit. There's a couple of 8-bit codecs in here, but vast majority of them are 10-bit. As I said earlier, there is no video record limit, and because of a fan, you're not going to get any overheating, where you will do on the original S5. The S5 Mark II also has a full HDMI port, which is fantastic. I'm really pleased about that. Full HDMI port on the S5 Mark II, as well as your microphone, headphone jacks, the same as on the S5. But the original S5 uses a micro HDMI port, and they're really fiddly. They do, cables break a lot, and the connection isn't as solid as what you get from a full-size HDMI port. I'm really pleased Panasonic have put a full-size HDMI port on the S5 Mark II. The S5 Mark II also has animal AF and IAF tracking, where the original S5 doesn't. So if you are filming cats, dogs, birds in flight, that kind of thing, then the S5 Mark II would definitely be your better camera. Whether it be for video or for stills, the animal IF on the S5 Mark II is really good. Both cameras have a 24 megapixel CMOS sensor, and neither of them have an anti-alias filter, so you're going to get great sharpness with whichever cameras you choose to use. Both cameras work with the XLR DM1 XLR adapter that we have here, and this is a great audio interface. It's a professional interface. It enables you to use professional XLR microphones, as this adapter provides the phantom power for the microphones, and then you've got all your controls on the side there. Brilliant little device that just fits straight onto the camera. Just slide straight on when you lock it on, so that will just go straight onto the camera like so, and then just use the locking nut, lock it in. Little green light comes on the adapter to show that you're using it, and the camera provides the power to the actual adapter. You don't need to use mic leads or whatever. That works great on both of them. But the big advantage with the S5 Mark II, they're using the same audio interface that you find on the GH6, and that is great. I've pre-assigned my front button on here to bring up the audio interface, so I just push that button in, and then the audio interface will come up, and it shows that the XLR adapter is connected. And you can change any of your parameters, your audio levels, just by touching the screen. So if I want to change this here, it's got set to off, tap on that, and I can change that setting. I can change all my other settings on here. Another one, I can just change that. Brilliant. So audio is really, really important for video, and it enables me now to go straight to my audio settings really quickly, really easily. And also the S5 Mark II works with 4 channels of audio. The S5 was only 2 channels of audio. I can now use 4 channels of audio with the S5 Mark II. I can plug 2 microphones into the XLR adapter, and then I can plug a stereo microphone or another microphone into the 3.5mm jack on the actual camera, and I can record 4 channels of audio. So I might want to use 2 channels for background noise, and then the other 2 channels for picking up you know, people talking, your interviewees or whatever. So yeah, great device, being able to use the XLR adapter with both cameras, but it's certainly more functional with the S5 Mark II. Both cameras have a 3-inch articulating screen that's on the back of the camera, so that is really handy. Obviously great for if you're filming yourself. Neither of them have a tally light, but they both have the red record frame that you see around the actual screen, so that's useful. If you've got the screen facing you, you can actually see that it is recording. Both cameras have dual SD card slots, but the big advantage with the S5 Mark II, both of them are UHS 2 compatible, where with the S5, only the slot number 1 is UHS 2, the other slot is UHS 1. Both cameras are weather sealed, which is fantastic, and they both take the same batteries. So if you do happen to own both cameras, you can swap batteries around without any issues there. I think that is really handy. We haven't changed the battery design. And both have USB-C power delivery. I find that really, really useful, and obviously USB-C charging. In the studio here, it's great now. All my cameras have got USB-C power delivery. I don't have to worry about batteries running out while I'm filming. That was always a big concern of mine. So many times I'd set all the cameras up, and then after a shoot, one of the batteries would die. Now I don't have to worry about that. Plug them all into a USB adapter, and then I know that they'll keep running as long as they don't overheat, but they'll keep running. And I say the S5 Mark II won't overheat simply because of a fan built into the pentaprism. They both use the L mount mount. They both have the L mount, which is great. So quite a few lenses available for the L mount now, because Sigma are making lenses for the L mount as well as Panasonic. I find it's a great mount. I find the lenses are fantastic. That's the L mount, and I say it's a full frame sensor inside. So you know, very, very good indeed. So there you have it. That's the major differences between the S5 Mark II and the original S5. But fundamentally, it's the addition of the fan in the S5 Mark II, so there's no overheating, and the phase detect autofocus on the S5 Mark II. So I think if you're into video, the S5 Mark II is definitely a worthwhile upgrade. If photography is your main thing, then you might want to look at getting some bargains on the original S5, because there are some fantastic bargains on the original S5, and also the video quality is fantastic. You might want to use manual focus on the S5 for video, but I find the autofocus, for what I do, for this sort of presentation work, the autofocus was fine on the original S5. So there we go. That's the differences between the S5 and the S5 Mark II. Hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the content of my videos. Would really appreciate that. It does help me grow the channel. So thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.